Hey everybody, Bill Flipper here, and I'm doing a quick video on mindset, how I stay in the game. And one thing which is really important, I would assume for all entrepreneurs, but especially for me, I can only relate to the Amazon game, is to really, one thing that helps me is because if you have kids, you're having a set schedule to do things usually lasts about 10 minutes. So, you have your days, everything goes great for 2 or 3 days, and then your kid gets sick. Or, something comes up, or a sports thing gets rained out. So you should have a basic schedule, but realize it's probably not going to last very long. And the ability to do that is to be flexible, not to get caught up. One hard thing is not to, I see people get caught up is the inability to kind of like stay nimble and flexible and understand that it is okay to have something come up and then catch up the next day. And that's just something I have to do. But you still have to. So if you plan on sourcing 20 hours a week and the day to go sourcing, something happens, or, whatever something comes up, you still have to get those 20 hours in. And if not, you need to make up for them the next week. You can't let, it is just consistency in this game, and consistency is important. One thing I do, so these are a couple things to keep a good mindset is basic exercise. If you're really into exercise, you can do a lot more. But hold on, I'm going to adjust this. All right. I'll sit up a little bit. All right, looking good now. Okay. So basic exercise. Um, Exercise for your mind. So this is I like Tony Robbins, I like Wayne Dyer, but something that is positive, that pushes you, that is motivate. I know Hormozy, I think Hormozy's his name. I've listened to him, Ed Milet. These are all guys that are very reasonable, talk about like emotional health, getting after it, which is, whether you're working for yourself or a job or just doing your best and staying happy and motivated and how you can do that. And there's so many good techniques on that. I always recommend, I guess, Tony Robbins is the first deep dive, but I really like Wayne Dyer. Wayne Dyer did a PBS presentation that I'm really into on I believe it's the Tao, whatever. But it is basically just principles for life in general, and was I believe a Chinese philosopher, and he really breaks it down how it can, reframing thoughts and those things, and not getting caught up in emotions. And I mean, life in general, but this is really, Amazon is really a big head game. I mean, you have to be able to roll with the punches. You have to wake up one day and, you see two IP complaints and you're like, oh, I'm not going to freak out. I'm going to reach out to them. I'm going to show my invoices, my receipts, and things will be okay. If you're just going to freak out and think it's the end of the world, that could happen a lot. Or, oh, the comparison game is hard. It's good to have a friend group, but to be caught up in the comparison game is just you're never going to be happy with that. It's very, very hard. Now, I think you should compare in a positive way, like to be happy for people or to say, oh, one thing for comparison with me is I'm like, oh, if he can do it, I can do it. I don't mean that in a disparaging way, but like this isn't, a lot of this is learn the basics, do more of the basics. I mean, that's about it. Do the basics and then do more of the basics, get better at that, knowing what a good product looks like, knowing when to cut loose a bad product, knowing to read keeper charts. So many people I talk locally and they're like, oh, show me how to do this. What apps do I use? I'm like, I can tell you the apps, I can tell you how to do this, but at the end of the game, you're going to have to do a deep dive, which means you got to go home, you got to watch 20, 30 hours of content, or at least listen to, and then, or watch, I guess, at first, because to learn reading the charts. And then after that, you're going to have to go in, you're going to have to put some money on the table and belly up to the bar and, go through with it and buy some bad products, buy some good products, realize the mistakes you made, ship some stuff in, figure this stuff out. And if you do it, as a side hustle for a while and get good at it, or think you enjoy it, you may not enjoy it. Maybe you'll enjoy something else. I know people who make great money just flipping thrift store items on eBay and probably do just fine doing that. And usually their ROI is way better because they're buying like a garment for $2 and selling it for 40. They're getting like Ralph Lauren jackets, and you can definitely still find those finds. I think they're getting a little bit harder because a lot of these thrift stores are like starting eBay stores, things like that. But those, like I said, you'll always still find those finds. You'll find those finds at yard sale on Facebook Marketplace, and like people are like, oh, Goodwill has an eBay store. Yeah, and maybe the first shift people are like really inspecting things, but then second shift is like, I don't care, I'm just putting a $5 sticker on. So you'll still find good finds, but you have to another thing, even with the eBay, you really need to educate yourself on what to look for. My brother does electronics like vintage, and he is extremely educated on what's worth money and has some crazy flips like $75 for 1,200, $1,500 items, but it's because he's educated, knows what to look for. So, and there's other, hustles, there's a lot of people who made tons of money getting free furniture, getting a storage shed, and then flipping that same free furniture onto Facebook Marketplace, cleaning it up, and people do that fine. So, another one of the hustles is the limited edition hustle, which is that's what I call it, but it could be anything. The Taylor Swift tickets, the limited edition Stanley Cups that were like they were like $60, and I think they're called watermelon or something Stanley. I didn't get any. They're selling for like $250. So they're limited release items that are highly sought after, and they sell for huge markups and usually very very quickly. I think PlayStation 5s. That's the perfect one. PlayStation 5s. The moment they come into restock, they were like out of stock for like 2 years because of the chips, and they'd buy them for 400, 500, immediately sell them for 8, 9. And that is certainly a type of hustle you can do, and you stay connected to people, you will find the connections. So, keeping yourself accountable, a good mindset, feeding your mind the right stuff, um, trying not to get caught up, maybe a goal list, maybe a goal sheet. I think prayer can be a part of it or some type of meditation. You're gonna have to always make time for yourself because if you do not, proper sleep, all those things are so important because if those things break down, your business is going to break down. If you don't, have the right sleep or you start wearing down, you're going to miss opportunities. You're going to get frustrated. The ability to source entire store for 4 hours, you have to have focus. And maybe you source for 3 hours and find nothing and the ability to just say, okay, this happens. It doesn't happen often, but I'm gonna roll with the punches and move on. And the next place is gonna be a score and staying positive because you're certainly gonna have those ups and downs, and that's what I mean. Especially if you're like I said, I'm a single dad with a 6-year-old. Like my entire life is chaotic and crazy, but the ability, with family and friends you rely on, you stay positive. These are lessons for life, even if you're just working a 9 to 5. These are lessons. And another thing with the election year coming up, really disconnect from that. I think that is really important to turn off push notifications on your phone, not to have an interest. It's important to have I guess, importance on politics, but certain people, one thing I do, this is a key, I'm going to go back. So it's important to have those interests, but not to get caught up, not to watch mainstream news, not to watch it all the time, not to discuss it, and not have an emotional reaction to it. Just understand it's probably out of your control. You may have certain interests, but in the end, if you put so many people, if they put as much time that they watch that or get all caught up into positive things, they would have a thriving business. But instead, they're arguing with people on Facebook. But I do not, so I use Facebook for Facebook Marketplace. I do not scroll. I do not look at. I heard Grant Cardone quote that really made a lot of sense. And he's like, basically, like, successful people don't scroll. And I'm sure some do. Actually, I know some people who are super, super successful that do a little scrolling, but I don't because I felt, I would pick up my phone, and this actually happened. I haven't used it for probably a year or around that, and I would be drawn to hit the Facebook app, or certain social media apps. I'm like, this is an addiction. This has like actually wired my brain to hit this. So I cut it out for like a week and felt great because I mean, I don't know, but you'll read something and the emotional reaction is you want to comment, or people get hooked on the dopamine hits from the likes. And it is really toxic and really poisonous. I think YouTube, you're learning something, or at least they're being entertained. I use this as a platform. I kind of, sort of, maybe use Instagram, but really not at all. I really don't scroll on that. There's two or three pages I follow, and I just say accept that if I'm gonna miss it, I'm gonna miss it. It is what it is. I don't. And another side note is some maybe it is good to have maybe an hour of the week to set out just for business because I found some really super good tips on Instagram, but I'm willing to miss those for the fact of you know it all these basically promote just comparing yourself to other people, emotional reactions, and that really doesn't have a place in my life or in business. So or is going to be you want things you want tailwinds. You want to be pushed towards your goals. You don't want things blowing in your face, pushing you away from your goals. And that for me, social media is emotional reactions, toxic relationships, things like that. You really want to stay away from those because in the end, if you're basically operating a full-time business, it's all on you. If you win, you did on your own. If you lose, it's all on you. You really have no one to blame, you know. So that's it. All I have for today. This is kind of my thought on certain things. I hope you really enjoyed it. Like, comment, subscribe. Get us to 100,000 subscribers. Um, I post a lot of content about Amazon. I'm going to do some mindset, just my thoughts on things, and occasionally videos of, like I said, me, my son and I, and trips we have and things like that. So if you like that type of stuff, there's links in the bio for certain affiliate links, certain things. I have lots of videos on using the sourcing for Amazon. So please have a great rest of your week. I will see you very, very soon as more videos are being uploaded. Thanks. Have a great day. See ya.